It is back. The Credor watch that I bought from Chrono24 all those months ago has now been returned by Seiko in Japan. For those of you not familiar with Credor watches, they are Seiko's most premium brand of watch. Yes, you do have Grand Seiko and they do make some exquisite watches, very expensive watches as well, but if you've got a pretty penny to spend on a watch and you like Seiko, you're probably going to be looking at Credor or Credor watches. It means golden crest. Now, you'll generally struggle to find secondhand automatic Credor watches for less than $5,000, but I found one on Chrono24 for less than £1,000. It was around $1,100. I bought it. I pulled the trigger. I couldn't believe it. Yes, it doesn't contain the most inspiring automatic movement. It is the 4L75, but still, it's a Credor watch, and it was sort of affordable. When it turned up, I realized it was a bit of a mess. There was a lot of dust, debris, and DNA under the crystal and on the dial, and the case and the case back was, scratched up quite a bit. So I took it to Seiko. The Seiko head office is fairly near where I live. I took it down there and said, I'm interested in getting this watch refurbished and serviced. How much? They said, well, we'll have to send it off to Seiko in Japan for a quote. So, yeah, that's what they did. They got in touch with me and said, this is how much it's going to be to, well, replace the dial, replace the hands and polish the case and also service the movement. They thought the dial and the hands were essentially beyond repair, although they didn't look too bad. They obviously weren't up to the standards that they like to adhere to. So they basically said, we'd like to put a new dial in it, new hands, polish the case, service the movement. And this is the quote. I'll let you know how much it cost at the end of this video, and you can tell me whether or not you think it was worth it. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to head over to the Lightbox and show you exactly what they've done, and we can decide together maybe whether or not it was money well spent. Right, here we go. I have zoomed in a bit, and I can tell you immediately that the difference is unbelievable. There was so much dust and debris and DNA on the dial and under the crystal. I mean, it wasn't just under macro when you could see it. It was quite visible. The whole dial just looked quite dirty. And this just looks so much brighter. Look at the reflection of that black dial. I mean, it's a very simple black dial, but yeah, it looks like a brand new watch, and the polishing looks, oh man, so good. Now, this lug was really quite badly damaged. Let me zoom in and see if they've been able to remove all of the scratches. They were quite deep scratches, actually. It looks to me like all of the damage has been removed, but yeah, I shall take some macro shots and include them in this video. The crown was really quite dirty. There were scratches on the case back. But yeah, it's looking good. I'll put it on the time grapher in a moment so that we can check out the accuracy, because with the movement being serviced, you'd expect them to regulate it to a pretty decent standard. You can still see the text on the steel part of the case back, so it doesn't look like they've had to do too much polishing. Now, I've stayed zoomed in so we can have a closer look at the dial and the hands. And yeah, I'm not seeing any dirt or debris. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything under the crystal or on the dial, which is amazing. The hands look fantastic. The applied indices are very small and discreet. They do have these little grooves on them, so you will get that sort of light play, that rainbow effect on those applied indices in certain light conditions, but in this light box and with them being so small, it's not that easy to replicate. Really nice applied index at the 12, Credor printed on the dial. I mean, it's just a beautifully simple watch, isn't it? And there is the movement, the 4L75, decorated nicely enough, I think. This is definitely one of the more affordable automatic Credor watches. Some of them more expensive six-figure watches. The movements are just incredibly well decorated and finished. I mean, they are just stunning. Right, here it is then on my roughly average 7¼ inch-ish wrist. Again, forget the strap. It is a fairly cheap aftermarket strap, but I guess it goes to some degree because, well, it's a fairly simple faux croc leather strap, isn't it? And it's glossy, I guess, so that sort of goes with the glossy appearance of the dial. But yes, I'm very pleased with the way this watch has come out, and I've just put it on the time grapher. Incredible accuracy, perfect beat error and amplitude. It's probably the best this watch has ever run. Right, I've got the invoice in front of me. I think there's a couple of things we all need to remember when I read out the numbers. This is a Credor, Seiko's most premium and most expensive brand. And of course, we're sending a watch over to Japan to be essentially restored by some of the most skilled craftsmen in the world. Can you see how I'm already trying to justify this? So yeah, we need to remember that. And we need to remember it's had a lot of work done, a full case and case back polish, a service, a movement service, a new dial and new hands. Now the movement service, fairly reasonable, £350. That's including VAT. That's everything. The replacement dial, replacement hands and polish, the case polish, is £700. So it has cost in total £1,050. Now that is for everything. That is to send the watch over to Japan to get the quote. It's actually free to get the quote. Seiko will accept watches, premium watches. They do some work in the UK, in Maidenhead, at the head office. Some sort of basic movement maintenance and stuff. But yeah, for your more premium watches, they generally go to Seiko in Japan, and they will send watches over there for free. No obligation quotes. And then, yeah, you can just have the watches returned if you don't want to have the work done. I went ahead with the work because I thought, well, I wanted to experience I wanted to share the whole experience with you guys. I also wanted to see what sort of work they would do and how good the watch would look when it comes back. Yeah, I'm trying to offer some varied content, and I know it's been a expensive video to produce, but I've been left with a beautiful mechanical Credor watch. Now, interestingly, I've just gone on to Chrono24, and when I bought this watch, the next cheapest automatic by Credor, secondhand automatic, on Chrono24 was around $5,000. But now there seems to be a lot more available, making this perhaps less good value for money. So yeah, was it worth it? If I didn't have the channel, if this wasn't funded through my eBay store, selling watches and all that sort of stuff, I mean, the channel has essentially paid for the watch and then paid for the work to be done. And I have been left with, a beautiful, fantastic condition Credor automatic watch. Yeah, if I didn't have the channel and the channel didn't pay for it, I'm not so sure I personally could stump up £1,050 to have that sort of work done. But there's no denying it is incredible. That watch has now been, well, it's probably better than ever. But yeah, let me know in the comments section, guys. It's not cheap, but that's what you get when you are dealing with luxury premium watches like Credor watches. So yeah, right, guys, let me know what to do with this watch. Should I sell it, keep it, dare I say give it away?